Renegade Breakthroughs, the show where we cut through the noise, show you the clear path forward, and help passionate entrepreneurs break through invisible barriers so they can achieve more, earn more, and make a much bigger impact. Robert Imbriale is a best-selling author of motivational marketing, and for nearly 30 years, he has helped thousands of business owners finally see what's really been running their results from behind the scenes. If you're ready for real transformation and lasting success, you're in the right place. Let's go!
Oh boy, that is funny. Look at those old pictures. My gosh, my hair was not gray back then. Kind of fun. Hello everyone, Robert Imbriale here with you. Thank you so much for being part of today's show. I appreciate it, and it's great to see familiar faces in the chat room. This is not going to be a show about sports. Contrary to what you just saw there, that little clip, we're going to talk about WNBA, but not from a sports perspective, more from a psychological perspective, and what is really going on. Now, I know there's a lot of people that aren't going to be here live today. A lot of people are now watching the podcast because I see the numbers going up and up and up. People watching the replay on the podcast, I appreciate that. I know there's a big announcement tonight by President Trump, so that means we're going to be glued to our television sets watching and to see what he has to share. We're expecting big things, the things that we have been talking about on this channel and this program for many years now. It looks like it's all going to come out that we were not out in the woods and we were not crazy, but in fact we had it right most of the time. So we'll be able to see that, and it's going to help a little bit today to talk about the topic that I have for you, because I want to share, you see the episode number, the episode name down there, The World According to You. Because every one of us has a different view of the world, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about WNBA and why that's going on, and why the divide between left and right is so dramatic today. It really wasn't never that way in the past. I mean, I remember growing up, I really never knew anybody's politics, nor did we care, right? It was just like, you're on my side. You're not. Who cared? It didn't make any difference, right? But today the divide is massive, and it's really a good idea to understand it. What happens, I think, with a lot of people who don't quite get it, they get upset and they get angry, and I've seen it in a lot of people in the truther community. The anger boiling over at people who just don't understand it the way we understand it. What is the matter with them? They're all going to need to wake up. And you have to, take a step back from that, because that just raises your blood pressure. And I have some friends who have high blood pressure issues right now, and they're caught with a lot of this anger inside, built up inside, and they go, "How come you're not angry?" I'm not angry because I take a different look at things. I take it, one step back. I look at the macro. So we're going to do that today. We're going to take a step back. We're going to look at the macro. That's going to give us a kind of a different perspective on, what's going on, and may help lower your blood pressure. Right? It may help lower the anger, if you will, to at least let's get a dull simmer going on, right? If we can't get it ice cold, let's get it to a dull simmer, and it'll help a little bit there. All right, I want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a few other things. I got a couple other things. I'm looking at my notes here. I should remind you that you can subscribe to the podcast on any of the top podcast sources that you use, be it iTunes, Pandora, it could be Spotify, it could be Amazon Music. The podcast is available all over the place now. It's actually available in more places than even I was aware of. I did a search for it and I said, where is this podcast showing up? And it was a list of like 20 different websites that carry it. So it's going wider and wider, and the audience is growing every week. I see the numbers going up on the number of people who download the podcast. The video version is available on iTunes, and the audio version is available everywhere else. It's only because so many of the websites today don't yet carry video, and you wonder, why not? Well, a lot of people doing podcasts just aren't doing the video part. So I do both. We take the audio from this and we strip it out and we make an audio podcast out of it. And then we put the video up as well if you want to watch the video. But, talking head, video, probably not really that important, except for when I'm sharing like video clips like a little earlier. Maybe you want to see that. Okay, makes sense. It's a lot of fun. I wanted to do an interview today. I actually was going to have somebody come on and talk about this WNBA thing with me, but the missing piece to make that happen here in the studio is right now on a FedEx truck and should be here probably, before the show's over, it'll be here. But, obviously I won't be able to get things set up and tested and all that for today's show. So it'll happen next week. We'll bring somebody on because you're going to get tired of just me doing a monologue here for an hour. That's a lot of time, right? But I appreciate you. Lots of love to all of you who support the show and who followed me on this journey. Some of you who were watching the Coach's Corner podcast right up until we switched it in about 2020. We started to talk more politics on there, but it was entrepreneurial, it was coaching, it was business topics prior to that. And, for all of you who followed through and followed me through the whole thing, I really appreciate that. We've been doing the podcast now, I think 2016 is when the Coach's Corner started. And I had a podcast before that called the Motivational Marketing Show. Ironically, when I was looking for my show, that popped up. But you can't play it anymore because that website is no longer there. So that doesn't exist any longer. But it's still listed in some podcast directories, which is kind of interesting. That one was, I think I'm going to go back 2006. I think that one started. And there were about 100 and something episodes there that I did specifically on the topic of marketing. So I've been doing this a while. I've been live streaming video since 2004. 2004, a long time. I was one of the very first people to stream video to an audience, and it was my marketing group at the time. I started streaming video, and they were blown away. They said, "You got to do this every time." I didn't want to spend the money. I think it was like $5,000 at the time to be able to do it, and I didn't want to spend that money. And they're just like, "You have to do it. It's so much better that we can see you, not just hear you." Because before that, I was doing everything on the telephone. So I've been at this a while, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's really a blast to be able to do this stuff. I really enjoy it. And, the topics that we talk about, I can talk about many different topics. And you guys know, who've been listening to me for a while, they can kind of go in 10 different directions and, carry on semi-informed conversation, at least on many different topics, because that's part of my thing. It's like I hated learning in school. I hated learning in school because we're trying to learn things that were of no interest to me whatsoever. And I think it's true for a lot of us. But when you get out of school, I realized that I really enjoy learning, and I learn at a very high speed when I'm interested. When I'm not interested, it's zero. It's 100% or it's zero for me. There's like no in between, right? So it was really hard for me in school, and I was a C average student. I never knew I had this, but had, school been different, and if they would have said, "Hey, what are your interests? Why don't you read a book that you're interested in?" I would have devoured 20 books in a year rather than just one long, boring book in 1 year of high school, which is crazy to think about. So I walked out of high school thinking I was dumb and realized later on, no, I was just bored. And my mind was always out the window, always thinking about something else. So here we are. All right. I have been coaching now professionally since probably the end of 1995 when I did my first paid coaching gig. It was kind of interesting. I did a lot of coaching prior to that without getting paid. I didn't even know I was coaching. I was just sort of helping friends out is really what it was. But I realized that, I had that gift. And after being trained by the big guy, Tony Robbins, and going through all of that, kind of put the motion, put the gears in motion, if you will, for me to really move in that direction. So when I coach people, before I begin, a lot of coaches they feel really important, right? When they start coaching, what they'll do is they'll start pontificating, and they'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Truth of the matter is, if you're a coach and you're talking more than your client, you're not doing it right, right? So what I'm doing when I coach is I will ask questions and I will shut up and I will listen. The first 15, 20 minutes of working with somebody, I'm asking questions and listening to what they're saying, but more importantly, listening for what they're not saying. And you're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean with listening for what they're not saying? Think about it for a minute. If you don't want to share something with somebody, and you're in a coaching situation, you're there to work on your stuff, but you're embarrassed by it or whatnot, what are you going to say? Are you going to go right for that stuff and talk about it? No, typically you're going to paint pictures and stories and kind of try to guide the conversation in a different direction. So I'm always looking for that. I'm always looking for that piece. I'm saying, okay, what are they not saying? I hear the story. I'm really not interested in the story. I'm interested in what's happening behind the story. What's driving that story? Why do they feel this way? Why do they say what they're saying? And that's a highly trained ear to be able to hear that. You hear the words that they're not saying. Now, what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for three things. And this is where it's going to get very, very clear for you to really understand why the divide is so big right now in society, why it is so challenging. You got to understand that we operate on three things. We have things that we believe, we have values, morality, right, a lot of times, and we have rules. So early on, I was in my coach's training with the big guy, Tony, what he had said is you want to have a relationship that will last, those three things need to line up. In other words, you got to have similar beliefs, you got to have similar values and similar rules. When those things line up, you have the opportunity of a great relationship. If they don't line up, it's going to be a struggle and probably won't last. No matter how much the lusty attraction is there, if those things aren't in alignment, it's not going to last. So that brings us to, the world that we live in today. It's like we have to look at it from that perspective. So when I'm coaching somebody, I'm asking questions, but really what I'm listening to what their values are, what's important to them. I'm listening to find out what their beliefs are. Oftentimes it's religious beliefs. I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, whatever it is. That gives me a whole framework for where they're coming from. And it helps me to what? Quickly understand them. Much faster than trying to ask them a million questions and spend hours and hours in conversation. If I know what I'm looking for their values, I'm looking for their rules, I'm looking for their beliefs, I'm looking for these things that guide them, sort of the guardrails of your life, if you will. And we've all got them, and no two people are exactly alike. I know a lot of the school system is designed to make us all the same. Doesn't work, right? Why doesn't it work? Because we're not the same. We all come from different backgrounds. We've all had different life experiences. We've all picked up different beliefs along the way. And you might say, well, why do you believe what you believe? Well, a belief is just what? You believe this because certain things have happened, you've experienced, you've seen, you've done, that support the belief. If you want to change a person's belief, what you do is you get rid of these things down here. You don't try to change the belief, you try to change the things that are supporting that belief. And when you do that, you have them question the reason why they have that belief in the first place. And when they realize the things that cause them to have that belief really aren't true, that there's another way around it, the belief by itself collapses. Take the legs out of a table, the table falls. I mean, that's the concept, the visual, if you will. So I'm looking for that in people because it really helps me when I want to coach them. I also look at what they value, what's most important to them in life. Some people it's money. Some people it's relationships. Some people it's attention. I have to stand out, right? Some people it's contribution. They want to contribute. Some people just want to grow. That's a big one for me. I want to grow. I'm always looking to learn something. I'm in there in the trenches, always learning something because that's what's important to me. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can start to see a lot about a person, learn a lot about them really quickly. And then the other one is the rules. What are the rules they live by, right? Never hurt another person, never lie, never, they have rules. Everyone has rules. You have them, I have them, right? Never wear white pants before Labor Day, right? That kind of thing. We all have a set of rules, and sometimes way too many. It makes it hard for us to live, but that's a clue as well. When I want to help somebody, I got to know what their rules are. So by asking questions and getting into light conversation, this is what I'm listening for. I'm listening for these things. Once I understand that, I'm in a better position to understand where they are because I need to, for a moment, step into life as they see it. Boy, imagine that. We've got a Republican, we've got a Democrat, not getting along whatsoever. And the Republican says, you know what, for a minute, I'm going to step into your shoes. I'm going to see the world through your eyes and see what it looks like. We don't do that. Obviously, a lot of people don't. That's why the divide is so big, because we hate each other, and we've been told to hate each other so much that we will not take any time to listen one way or another. We're not going to. I'm not going to listen to you. You're not going to listen to me. We can scream at each other all day long. Neither one's going to hear anything. And that's where we are. That's what society is built like today. So unless we get to a point where we're more educated, more patient, that we can get to the other side, really understand what's driving all of this, we'll never solve it. So many people call themselves coaches today. And one of the sad things about a lot of the coaching industry, why it's got a bad name in many respects, is because a lot of coaches do what I call system coaching. System coaching is they have a list of questions. On call number 1, here are the 5 questions you're going to ask. It doesn't matter what the customer, the client, the person being coached says. Call number 2, another set of questions. System coaching. Don't need them anymore. We've got AI. AI actually does a better job than the system coaches. Do away with it. Hey, $20 a month. Get yourself an AI account. You got questions about things you're feeling. Why am I feeling sad about this? Why is this pissing me off? You can ask those kind of questions to AI, and you will get some really good coaching. Bruce was doing that, and he was sharing with me some of the answers that were coming back. And I said, you know what? Some of those answers are actually better than the answers I could give. And I've got nearly 30 years now in coaching. I've seen it all, or so I think, right? And but you can look at and you can say, wow, these are really going to change. Okay, so that's the interesting thing. These coaches, I think these system coaches, they're going to be gone if they're not already. A lot of them are going. They'll get out of the business. They'll go do something else. So when I'm coaching, when I finally get to that point where I can see a person's rules, I can see their values, see their beliefs, I'm in a better position now to support them and help them. And maybe it is collapsing a belief. Maybe it is having them reevaluate a value. Maybe it is helping them change some of the rules that are keeping them stuck. Right? But that's where it begins. That's the foundation. And we have to learn this. I don't know if you're not a coach, I get it. I'm not trying to turn you into a coach, but I'm trying to get you into the mindset of how we break through the divide and how we get to the other side. So here's the thing. If you are in a situation where you're having a conversation with someone and there's no agreement and it starts getting into an argument, most people do what? Well, if you don't like conflict, you're probably going to shut down. You won't say anything. You won't respond. Some people are going to respond by raising their voice. And they're going to get even more dug in, right? And now you got 2 people who are stubborn, 2 alphas, right? Stubborn. Where does that get us? It doesn't get us anywhere. Lie. And it's the lie I believe. This is the lie I believe. And we're yelling at each other and nobody's hearing anything. So there's a third option, which I think is a better option. And I think you're the bigger person if you're able to just not react. People say, they say about me, it's like, man, you're so calm all the time. I'm calm because what I'm doing is analyzing. Why is that person reacting this way? Why are they so angry? Is it really that they're angry at me, or is it something that's going on in their world that's causing this reaction? That's the kind of thing that's going through my mind, right? So it's different. It's different. You raise yourself to a new level when you're able to do that, because you can then disconnect from a conversation you know it's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to shut down. You don't have to argue. You're just like, you know what? Great seeing you today. I got to make a phone call. I got to go. And you're gone. You don't shut down. You don't have to take the abuse. You just shut it down and you walk away. Once you figure out that there's no path forward. Now, it's really important because we are so divided today. And I think the biggest thing is our values have shifted. And where did they shift from? Well, in religion, we're taught a set of values, right? That's what religion really is, values, morality, that kind of thing. That's what they give us. And you might say, well, the Jewish person learns these sets, the Italian person might learn this, the Catholic person, it's like whatever. The values are there, and they're not always the same. We value life, Judeo-Christian, and, the Muslim, the Islamic, I should say, is more appropriate. They don't. Life isn't the same thing for them. If people who are taught, if you don't believe what we believe, you should be dead. You should be removed from this earth. We don't believe that. We say all life is precious, right? We have a different outlook on that. So what we're looking at today is that, but on a different level. Things that we value, things that we think are moral. We don't think about LGBT, gay, LGBT. What is it now? Like, I don't know. I'm getting them mixed up. You look at that and you say, okay, is that in alignment with my values? For a lot of us, it's not. It's actually only 4% of the entire society. 4%, small part, tiny small part, and it's been blown up and it's been a throw in our face. So we are closer. On our side, we're closer to a libertarian than we actually are a Republican or a Democrat. Why? Because we believe, and I think I could speak for most of us. No, we're not all on the same page. I get that. But most of us would believe, hey, you know what? You're free to live the way you want to live. But in my house, I make the rules. Outside of my house, don't care. And that's where the line gets crossed, where you say, no, the rules are going to be this way in my house and your house too. And then we go, no. Freedom is, I get to decide how I run my household. I get to decide what to believe in. I get to decide what I value. I get to decide what my rules I'm going to live by are. You don't get to impact that. And the challenge is, you see the other side doing that. They are just pushing their stuff on us. And we're just like, come on, we don't do that to you. We don't judge you in that way, typically. I mean, it's not everyone, certainly, but typically we're not judging. So we can get past this and we can start, being the adult in the room if you want to be. You want to be the adult in the room? I think we all do. And I think that's what's needed here. Instead of trying to force our beliefs on everybody else, it's like, no, you have your beliefs, that's fine. I respect your beliefs as long as you respect my beliefs. I'm not going to try to indoctrinate you. That's not my job. And your job is not to indoctrinate me. I will do my own indoctrination based on the things that I think align with who I am. Thank you very much. And then we move on that way. One of the challenges I think we face, and I've talked about this before, is that we're in a world right now where there's so many laws on the books that you and I could not know them all. There's no way. And the reality is, and there's a survey that was done on this, that almost every living American is breaking a law they know nothing about every single day. Not the same law, but different laws based on what you're doing that day. You're breaking laws that you don't even know anything about, right? Oh, you put the wrong thing in the recycle bin. Well, that's against the law to do that. How would I know? Right? It's kind of crazy, but we're breaking laws all the time. And we get to a point where there's so many laws that essentially everyone's a criminal. It's not a free society anymore, right? And the more we move in that direction, the more challenging it is. And I know our politicians, they're called what? What's the other name for them? Lawmakers, right? What do? They go make laws. So we've got more and more laws on the books. Nobody ever goes back and say, hey, we want to put this law. Does it conflict with anything else? Or is it duplicitous? Or does it replace something? Hey, if it replaces something, let's get rid of the old one. Laws don't tend to go away. Once they're on the books, they're on the books. They tend to be there forever. So we've got to look at, everything that's going on here and kind of take it all in and go, take a deep breath and let's breathe through this. I think that is kind of important. And, we're going to move forward. We're going to be okay with what's going on. All right. Before we go on, I just want to share with you real quick. If you love notepads the way I do, hey, shop.renegademedia.tv. I love these. I'm ordering them. I got to stop ordering them. I got to get a couple more. I've got a few more that I want to design as well, but these are really cool. Notepads, spiral-bound notepads. They fold and lay flat all the time, which is really great, and you can take notes while you're on the phone, while you're on a meeting, and helps the channel as well. Shop.renegademedia.tv is where you will find all of them there. Okay. Let's see here. We're going to switch gears here to the controversy of the WNBA. And I think this is going to be telling, and it's going to kind of lead us to give us a foundation of all these things. It's kind of it's easier to talk not politics than it is to talk politics, because politics can be, very divisive, right? It's like the third rail a lot of times. So when you talk politics, people are like, they want to hear it. But if we talk sports, well, that's kind of an easier topic. So I'm going to talk sports only to help illustrate some of the challenges we're having in the political realm. And what that'll do, that'll help calm you down, lower your blood pressure a little bit, bring things down to a very low simmer rather than boiling over in anger and disgust. And I actually have two friends who have heart issues because of the anger that they're experiencing with all of this crazy stuff that we're living through. So, yeah, if that's you, take a deep breath. It's not all that important to solve all the problems of the world. I've been saying this for a while, probably a year and a half now. I've been saying, everything that's going on out there is going on out there. If this is what we think it's going to be tonight with President Trump's speech, and then it vindicates us, we've been thinking the right way, we've been doing the right thing, and now it begins to move us in a new direction. That's what we're hoping for. You may be listening to this after that speech, and you will know more than we do at this moment. But that's what we're hoping for. And that'll be the next phase, if you will, and that'll start changing things, hopefully for the better, because you can't have a country when there's a lot of crime and corruption the way it is right now. It's way over the top. There's corruption every level of government, both sides. It's not one side or the other. It's both sides. And oftentimes you might look at it and say it's just a uniparty. They all play for the same team. Yeah, they pretty much do, because they're bought out and paid for by the real players, the people we don't know, the people who are faceless and nameless, but fund all these guys and give them all the money. So we're going to get to a point where we can, get past that. But we have to raise the vibration of society, and how we do that is always working on ourselves. Always. It doesn't matter. So I've been saying for months, here's what you got to do. You got to get back to your life. You got to get back to doing the things that make you happy. What is it that makes your heart sing? What is it that gets you, keeps you up late at night? I was up way too late last night because I was doing things I was really excited about. And what gets you out of bed early? I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, right? It's like 4.5, 5 hours sleep. Okay, probably not enough for me, but, I'm excited. I'm doing things that are really fun right now. One thing I did, I looked at, for instance, people who use the search engines. Did you know? I'll give you some statistics. This is kind of crazy. In 1990, the first official search engine came out. And I think 94, 95, Yahoo is the first one I used, the first search engine I used. And I remember typing in the word marketing in Yahoo, and I got 4 results. 4. There are only 4. There are millions today if you type it in, just to give you an idea. Most people never learned how to use them. Most people still use the search engines, typing in 1 word, 2 words, maybe a sentence, right? That's all they do. And what we found when we did the survey here is we found that only 2% of the people who use search engines since 1990, only 2% really understand how the search engine works. Wow, that's pretty amazing. You know what's really more amazing? AI is replicating those numbers. Only 2% of the people who use AI really understand how it works. And that's what they're doing. They're using it and making it work the way it's supposed to. 2% of them are. The rest, 1 sentence, a couple of keywords, and they're getting the result they're getting, and not really knowing that you can go a lot deeper. So one of the challenges, one of the things that was missing was this idea of prompting, and you don't know how to do a prompt. So the question is, how do you do a prompt in AI, right? So how you do it is you look at some prompts that are already done. So I put together an ebook this week, and I put it up on my website. It's 110 prompts that you can use for your small business to help you use AI better. Now, whether or not those prompts are exactly what you need is really not the point. The point is you can see the structure and you can learn how prompts are done. You can actually refine them and fine tune them for what you want. Because I really want people to learn how to use this. So this is a challenge that we're faced with in that area. And, we've got this powerful tool, but if you don't know how to use it, it's kind of useless, right? I've got a hammer. It could build a house, but if I don't know how to use that hammer to build that house, it's just a hunk of steel with a handle, right? That's really all it ends up being. So you want to look at it from that perspective. You want to be able to say, hey, I want to use the tool. I want it to use it to do things for me that'll help me build whatever it is I'm trying to build, help me solve whatever problem I'm trying to solve. I've been using it around here at the ranch, taking pictures of trees and saying, what's wrong with this tree? Its leaves are all yellow. And it'll go and it'll tell me exactly what it thinks is missing. And I was like, wow, that's really good. That's really helpful. I love it. Helpful a lot. All right, let's get back to WNBA and let's talk about that. I'm going to play this quick clip for you. It's 1 minute long. Watch this.
Is racism. It started with Caitlin Clark, and now it's me. Y'all see it. When white players start hooping at a high level, suddenly we're cocky, deserve to get hit, or we're too emotional. But let's be real, they just don't like seeing white girls dominating their game. I've been elbowed, shoved, even had players whisper threats during plays. And for what? Because I play hard, because I won't back down? That's not just physical, that's targeted. That's hate. And I'm not staying quiet about it anymore. If I get hit dirty, I'm swinging back. Period. I did it before, and I'll do it again. I'm not here to play victim, I'm here to compete. But I'll never let anyone punk me just because of the color of my skin. If you think I'm supposed to just take it and smile, you picked the wrong one. And Caitlin, she's been through the same BS. We see the pattern, and the league better start seeing it too. If you don't stand for fairness now, when will you?
Well, that's really good. So we're seeing that, and you and I have probably a very similar view on what we call the world view, right? How do we view the world? Well, it's our values, beliefs, our rules. That creates our worldview. So we look at that and we say, well, we're into fairness. We think if somebody does something wrong, they should get punished for it. Doesn't matter the color of their skin. We think that, all players should be treated equally. We think, right, these are the rules that we believe. These are the things that we believe. This is how it should work. And then we're looking at this WNBA thing, and we're looking at how these two white players are being abused and hit and elbowed and in many times injured, so they can't play anymore, right? And you wonder, why isn't anything being done? Why? Now we got to step into their world for, no, it's going to be hard. We're going to step into their world for a minute to try and understand it. Who are these people? What are they about? So you got Caitlin Collins, who's kicking butt and taking no prisoners. And honestly, I'm not a basketball fan. My game is played with this thing. Yeah, that's the game I watch more than anything is hockey. So I don't know a lot about basketball. Never really enjoyed it. But this girl, Caitlin Clark, is kicking butt and really helping that league get a lot more viewership, a lot more attention. I didn't even know the league existed before this, honestly. And now all of this is happening. She's doing really, really good helping that. And she's being punished and beaten up. And nothing's being done. Then we're scratching our heads and going, what in the world's going on? You got to look into this. You got to say, okay, what do the people running the league, the referees, most of the players, what is their world view? And this is where it starts to gel and starts to get to a point where you can understand it. What do they believe? They believe in white supremacy. They do. They say it over and over again. There's a lot of lesbians in there, right? They think that they're oppressed, right? That's the feeling that they have. They feel that the white girls have white privilege, and they shouldn't have white privilege, and they should be punished for it. And they believe that elevating the black players over the white players is fair, because it's been the other way around in their minds for so long. And when you understand that's their model of the world, there's more to it, but that's the model of the world that they're operating from. All of a sudden you go, aha, now it makes sense. They don't see it the way we do at all. See, you and I might say, hey, you've got a league, you've got great players, let's elevate those players, let's put a spotlight on them, let's make sure that they're not being beaten up, let's protect them at all costs, they'll punish the players that do the offenses. And right now what's happening is the players that are doing the offenses not even being called, and two, they're not even being called out, they're being protected. It's completely the reverse of what we would do. If we were running that league, we'd be like, you know what? All these players are equal. Let's make sure they're playing a fair game. Let's make sure, we have something that's entertaining, something that doesn't piss off the audience, the spectators, the fans, right? Let's make sure we get into as much social media as possible. Let's get the television deals done. Let's get the advertising deals done. Let's turn this into a business that makes actual money so we can pay the players more. That's how you and I would think about it. Because our model of the world, what we value, is putting together a quality product. So that's why we're upset looking at this, because they have no clue. That stuff that I just mentioned means nothing. They don't care about the TV licensing deals. They don't care about the advertisers. They don't care about the fans. They have a different agenda. So their agenda is, under the guise of equality, is to flip the equality and make it unequal for the white people. And you could see it again and again. You saw that clip from Sophie, and I think she's exactly right on that one. So when you understand where they're coming from, it kind of makes sense, and I'm certainly not asking you to agree with it, because that's not where we are. But you can kind of understand where they're coming from. So that will not change until some of those people are pushed along their way. And you could hope that at some point the investors in that league will say, we've had enough. You're scaring the fans away. This thing could be something great. And instead, it's not. And it can never be the way it is. So, maybe they'll get pushed out. Maybe they'll get rid of those people. Maybe things will change. We don't know. But that's where it's coming from right now. Now, if we switch that game and we say, okay, what is it like in the political realm? Why is it the same? Right? And we can talk politics. Why is it the same? Why is there such a divide between them guys and us guys? Why? I have a lot of family in Canada. I actually grew up in Montreal. Those of you who know, I grew up in Montreal. I went through high school and college up there, and left right after college. And why do they hate Trump so much? I mean, my cousins, oh my gosh, I see some of the things they post. I should almost block them, but they're family. I won't do it. But sometimes it's just, And you go, okay, what is making them think that way? What's their model of the world? Let me ask that question. What are they exposed to all day long? Well, let's see. The media is government run. Everything that's not government run in Canada has now been blocked over the last few years. They've banned it all. They can't get Rumble, by the way. A lot of that stuff is blocked. Oh no, not approved, right? They can't do Telegram. A lot of things they just don't have access to. They don't have access when I was in Montreal, we would always get the American stations from Plattsburgh, New York, and Vermont. They would broadcast, and we'd be able to catch the signal. We were only 90 miles away or something, so we'd be able to get the signal. So we would get American television in Canada. That's all blocked now. You can't get that anymore. So they have no outside information. Is their media fair to Trump or not? 99% negative stories about him. 99%. Do I look at my family and say, you bunch of idiots, right? Or do I say, well, that's what they're exposed to. They are a product of their environment. You and I are a product of our environment. We could be wrong. We could be indoctrinated. We probably are. We may not realize it, but we probably are. But it's easier to see when you look at the other guys. Like, ooh, they're really off kilter there. I don't know what's going on. But think of it. If you were in a situation where you had no access to shows like ours and things that we've been doing and talking about, and you get both sides of the coin, if you want it, you have access to it. What if you were in an environment where you didn't have access to it, like China, only one side? Because all you see is one side of the coin. As far as you know, there is no other side because you're never shown it, nor do you have access to it. Where do you think you'd land? Probably be similar to what they're experiencing. They can't understand how anybody could support Trump because all they hear are negative stories, sensationalized stories, because anything that's in the media has to be sensationalized, otherwise people don't believe it. So they build up and build up and build up, and they make it even more sensational. It's coming from a position of authority. There's somebody on camera who looks the part, looks really good, big studio and makeup well done, and they're looking right in that camera and they're delivering that content as if it is truth. The reality is those are actors, and what they're doing is just reading a teleprompter, the content of which they had no part in writing. And what's happening is they are indoctrinating an entire society. Now, there are a few. I have a few friends up there who see through it. I have a few friends that use a VPN and they get the American stuff that they need to get. It's at risk because they can get charged. They could be arrested for doing that. Believe it or not, they're a lot further along toward communism than you would believe, but they are. And it's good to see it, but they are quiet because of this conflict. If you come out and say, here's what I believe, what you're watching on the news is fake, when these people are hard-boiled in that, they believe everything they're seeing in the news is absolutely true and absolutely real and cannot be contested, hard to come out against them because they get all mad with you, right? And so they don't, and they remain quiet. Remember I told you they retreat, because one of the things they'll do is retreat. They won't fight it. So I like to look at it from a different perspective, as I mentioned. I like to look at it and say, okay, how can we help these people? How can we help them understand, not to make them wrong, because the moment somebody feels like you're trying to make them wrong, the defenses go up right away. You're not going to get anywhere. But have conversations with them in ways that you can plant seeds. And so all we've been able to do is plant these seeds, and eventually, and you're seeing it here in America, a lot of people who are left-leaning their entire life. All of a sudden, seeds were planted, and all of a sudden, a lot of them are coming over and going, wow, I didn't know. The door opened a little bit of light came through, a little bit of the truth got in, and they couldn't ignore it. They couldn't. Now, some people will hold so firmly to their beliefs that there's no way you're going to shake them. Now, this is a problem when you believe something so strongly that it rises to the level of conviction, right? What's a conviction? A conviction is an unquestioned belief. When it rises to that, you're no longer open to hearing anything that may challenge that belief system, right? Because now it's a conviction. This is absolute in my mind, and I'm not open to hearing anything different. And there are a lot of people who get there. And that's a dangerous place to be, because what if you are wrong? What if what you're saying isn't the truth? What if you're believing isn't what's really going on, right? What'll end up happening is if you've got that conviction, you could be way off into the ditch, and it may be too late before you figure it out. So I always talk about this. I always say, be strong and be flexible. And people go, how do those two things work together? Well, I want you to be strong in your beliefs, right? Be strong in them. This is what I believe. This is what I'm made of. These are the things I value in life. Here are the rules I live by, right? Be strong there. But the most educated and the people who have the greatest success in life are also flexible with all of that. What does that mean? Well, I have a belief about this. I've been believing it for 20 years, 30 years. All of a sudden, new information pops up that challenges that belief. If I say, I don't want to hear it, then that belief's actually a conviction. I could be in trouble. If I'm more intelligent, I'll say, let me consider that. Let me learn a little bit more. Maybe somebody's shedding light on something I didn't have before. And gosh, in the world we're living in right now, it's happening every day, isn't it? The things we believe to be true, people we believed were on our side, all of a sudden you're realizing maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't on our side. Maybe they were just playing a role. Maybe they were just acting. Maybe they were paid influencers, right? And we're starting to see a lot of that. It's all coming to light now, and it's kind of crazy because now you're going, oh, I don't know who to believe. So have your beliefs, but always be open. That if new information comes across your desk, you're open to at least consider it. I'm not saying change your beliefs on it. I'm saying consider it and decide whether or not it's something that'll change your belief or not. You get to make that decision. Nobody gets to change your mind. You do. And I think that's where we run into a problem with, I'm going to change somebody's mind. Good luck with that. I'm not an evangelist. You're not an evangelist. That's not our role in life, right? Our role is to be the best version of us we can be so that we then become a model for people to follow. I remember Tony always saying this, your life is going to be one of two things. It's either going to be, a shining example of what's possible, or it's going to be a warning, right? We don't want our life to be a warning. We want it to be a shining example of what's possible. And I think that's the way we got to look at it. It's like, I want to be as strong as I can be. I want to be as smart as I can be. I want to be doing, the best I could possibly do. I want to live up to my standards, my morals. I want to live by my rules, right? That's freedom. And that's what we should have in this country. And one of the challenges when you have a lot of laws is those freedoms get knocked and you can't live necessarily by your rules. And it makes it hard. So we're fighting back. We're pushing back on it. And, freedom's a very tough thing because people have this belief, and I think it's more on the other side, but it is on our side as well, that I got a better way for you to live your life. I think if you did something different than what you're doing right now, you'd be happier. I can't say that. There are people I've coached who are doing things that I would never do. Never. It would never cross my mind to do. I was making them so happy. Would I tell them no? Never would I tell them no. If it works for you, go for it. If you're making you happy, go for it. The best emotion you can have is one of happiness. The whole idea about this life is to find things that bring joy, raises your vibration up. What makes you happy? If that's go do it. Well, I only draw the lines when it hurts other people. Other than that, I don't care what you do. Your property, your room, you do what you got to do. Whatever's going to make you happy. I don't care. Because a lot of happy people raises the vibration of the entire planet. And you say, how do you change the world? That's how you do it. So it starts with you. What are you doing today to make yourself happy? Are you stuck in worrying about what's going on? Are you stuck in fear about money, fear about a relationship, fear about, right? All of that. Or can you find other ways to process those things so they're not so scary for you? Well, there's no money today, but the truth is there's always people looking for, help. So who can I help today? What else could I do? And for a lot of people, it's sometimes that simple to solve the problem. It's like, let me look at this a different way. Let me give it a different perspective, because we can get myopic sometimes. We only see things one way and it gets hard. And a lot of this division that we're feeling is because of that. It's because we're like this. We only see it one way. It can only be one way. It has to be this way. And we're not open to any other possibilities. I'm open to a lot of possibilities. Show me a better way. I believe this is the way, but if you could show me a better way, I'm all ears. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to shift my belief. I get to make that decision. You don't. I do. And I'll make that decision when I make that decision. And if it's a better way, certainly I'm going to pay attention. If it's something that makes me happier, I'm certainly going to pay attention. So when we look at society as a whole, where do you want to fit? Where do you want to fit in? What part do you want to play? Do you want to be the one who's indoctrinated into a certain way of believing? Certain set of values, certain set of rules that are unchanging, you can't change, you can't grow? I don't know, when you were young, did you believe in Santa Claus? That was a belief. I believed in Santa Claus. Santa Claus is real. And then people brought things to your attention that say, well, Santa Claus is really just your dad dressed up in a suit. Huh. All right, I believed it, and all of a sudden now those supporting elements that kept that belief alive go away, and that belief changes. Not a bad thing. Okay, great. And we should be able to do that throughout our lives, and we don't normally do it. We normally get caught in our ways, and that's a challenge. Oh, this guy's, a little crotchety old man. He's set in his ways. I never want to be the crotchety old man. I always want to be the one who's learning. And here's something that will help a lot of you. You can learn from anybody. Anybody. Doesn't matter what their political beliefs are. Doesn't matter if they're younger, they're older, they're more educated, less educated. Truth is, you can learn something from everybody. I learned stuff from people on the street, homeless people. I learned stuff from the janitor. I've learned stuff from the contractor, the builder. I've learned stuff from the farmer. I've learned, just you name it, the waitress, right? The restaurant owner. Conversations, you're always open to learning. There's a lot for you to learn. And that helps you grow, and that helps you be, a more fun or more elegant person to be around. I think that's what we want to be. So when I ask that question, it's like, what do you want to be in this life? Do you want to be a crotchety old man or old woman? No, probably not. So I want you to be strong, but I want you to be flexible. I want you to be open to new ideas, new information, new ways of thinking that may shift what you believe in. But you get to decide. If somebody's forcing a belief on you, no. Doesn't work. I'll listen to what you're believing, and I'll feel it out. I'll research it. I'll do whatever. And if it plays out, I may shift my belief if I want to. But I'm not going to say never would I shift my belief, because that's where you get into trouble. That's when you get into that conviction stage. Now, some things are important to have a conviction around, certainly. I believe I'm going to be healthy for a long time to come. That's a good thing to believe. Until something shakes that belief, that's going to be my belief. I'm going to stay healthy. I'm going to stay strong. Yes, I'm 62, but I don't have to act that way, right? I can act younger. I literally, in my mind, I'm 30, and that's the way I act, and that's the way I use my body, and, it doesn't always agree with me, but I say, get over it, let's go. And those kind of beliefs are helpful to have. Will they change at some point? It's possible. I'm open to that, but for right now, that's working. So I want you to think about in your life how you're doing this, how you're dealing with people who come up to you and try to indoctrinate you or change your mind, and I'll listen politely, and when I realize no, not interested, I'll end the conversation and walk away, and it's okay to do that. You've given them 3 minutes, 5 minutes of your time. You've listened, made eye contact. Not for you. Thank you very much. I gotta go. Appreciate it. Walk away. It's okay to do that. I used to get stuck in those conversations. Oh my gosh. I never knew how to end a conversation. Never. And they would go on and on and on and be dumping their garbage, verbal diarrhea, literally. And I was just like sitting there. Do I really need to be taking this? And all of my thinking, how do I get out of this? How do I get away? How do I get away? And it's just about setting that boundary. I've given you 3 minutes. I've heard what you had to say. Not interested. Thank you. I gotta go. What did we say now? We got to jump? Is that the new terminology? I got to jump. Okay, I got to jump. And you get off the phone. You get off the Zoom. Get up out of your chair and walk away. It's okay to do that. I think that's fair. That's a fair thing to do. All right. Like I said, I have a new modem coming that will help me be able to bring in guests here. Really strange being in a place where internet is not easy to come by. I've got 2 internet connections. I actually need 3, so the third one needs a new modem. So we're waiting for that modem to come. It should be any day, any moment now. FedEx will drop it off, and I will have it tested. Hopefully by next week I'll be able to bring on a guest because it'll be fun. Not having to, you guys have to listen to me for an hour. Oh boy, that can be tough. I get it. But we'll do that. That'll be a lot of fun. Hope this was valuable for you. My goal here with this show is to kind of help you, expand your thinking a little bit, expand your mind. I know a lot of people have dropped off and say, you're not talking politics anymore. I'm gone. I get it. That was that audience. It kind of got tiring for me. There were a lot of people who really weren't interested in the politics anymore. And so that whole kind of thing is kind of messy right now anyway. So I'm going this because, as I mentioned to you, you got to do things that bring you joy. This is what brings me joy. this conversation, this kind of content, this brings me a lot of joy. So I'm doing it for me. And if it's valuable to you, double bonus, right? And if it's not valuable for you, it's okay. There are other shows out there that will bring you, the political bent and stuff. So we'll always be based in current events, but we'll look at it from a different perspective. Rather than just being on the political side of things, I really want to be able to give you the bigger perspective. I want you to be smarter than the average Joe. I want you to be able to handle things better than the average Joe. I want you to be stronger and yet remain flexible at the same time. Can do that? I think you can do that. All right. We have, this event coming up in an hour from now? Yeah, about an hour from now. So I'll be watching. Bruce asked if we were going to live stream tonight's event. And I'm not going to live stream it. I think enough other people are going to be doing that as well. Bruce and I may do a show tomorrow. We may come on and just kind of recap, what went on. And it's supposed to be, destiny altering, if you will. So we'll see. I'm anxious to see it. I know you guys are as well. So, get the popcorn ready. This is supposed to be a biggie. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you. And we'll see you all next Thursday for another edition of Renegade Breakthroughs.